Land of Giants. Due to a host of incredible archaeological discoveries about its former inhabitants, the Italian island of Sardinia has been referred to by many as the Land of the Giants. In March 1974, a local farmer was plowing his fields in the island's western coast when he stumbled across a large statue fragment that would lead to 8 years of archaeological excavations and investigations. In all, archaeologists recovered more than 5,000 pieces of carved sandstone. They've set about reconstructing the pieces and soon realized that they were assembling an army of stone, as these statues were representing boxers, archers, and warriors. Up to 44 individual statues have been found. However, most astounding is not their numbers nor the identity of their creators, but their sheer scale. These stone giants measure up to 2.5 meters in height, and some weigh up to 400 kilograms in their fully reassembled form. Equally impressive is their anatomical precision. Despite being more than 8 feet tall, the geometric details, particularly of the faces, have been meticulously carved. The eyes, for instance, consist of perfect concentric circles, which has led many to describe them as alien in appearance. It has been determined that the giants are carved from local sandstone and that they likely date back to around 3,000 years ago. Many have claimed that the discovery of these stone giants, known as the Giants of Monte Prama, lend weight to theories of ancient astronauts and alien intervention. Originally placed as guardians over the graves of prominent Iron Age Sardinians, the giants stood guard for just a few hundred years before invaders smashed them into the 5,000 fragments recovered. Further adding to Sardinia's association with giants are the many vast graves known as tombs of the giants, because they contain burial chambers that can be up to 100 feet long and 8 feet tall. Archaeologists have claimed that these graves were built so large to accommodate numerous bodies. Still, local legends suggest they were created for a race of gigantic men who once inhabited the island, and some even claim that giant bones have been found in them, far larger than any human. A local painter and sculptor named Luigi Muscus was interviewed about his recollections in discovering some of these bones, including skeletons apparently measuring 13 feet in height. He described the discovery of one particular giant skeleton in a cave when he was a child in 1972.
According to Muscus and several other locals, the skeletons, when found and reported to authorities, would almost always mysteriously vanish by the following day. Tales of Magellan. Ferdinand Magellan was a Portuguese explorer who led a 1519 expedition to the East Indies across the Pacific Ocean. This expedition earned him great renown, but would ultimately claim his life. Magellan's records show that when he and his crew were exploring the coastline of South America, they witnessed something truly astounding, something which would alter European perceptions of the Americas for centuries. The official record of the expedition states, quote, "One day we suddenly saw a naked man of giant stature on the shore of the port, dancing, singing, and throwing dust on his head. The captain general sent one of our men to the giant so that he might perform the same actions as a sign of peace. When the giant was in the captain general's and our presence, he marveled greatly and made signs with one finger raised upward, believing we had come from the sky. He was so tall that we reached only to his waist." The Patagonian giants were dubbed the Patagon by the crew, a name inspired by a giant-like character featured in the 16th century Spanish novel popular at the time. Magellan's encounter with the giant was to be supported by numerous accounts made over the following years. By these accounts, the Patagon were proportioned as humans, but could be as tall as 13 to 15 feet. A later expedition, led by Sir Francis Drake, described the unusually tall people of Patagonia, stating that, quote, "Magellan was not altogether deceived, but that the crew estimated the height of the locals to be 7.5 feet. Modern science and archaeology have sought to rationalize the existence of these giants and to understand how so many first-hand accounts could have described such a colossal people.
One convincing photographic reports from the late 19th century even depicts an Patagonian man standing approximately 7.5 feet tall. Some have dismissed the claims as hoaxes or exaggerations, still with so much evidence in agreement that there did in fact exist a race of unusually tall people living in Patagonia. It is entirely plausible that there may have been some truth in it. Giant skeletons. Some of the strongest evidence for the existence of giants comes from the fact that since the development of archaeological technologies and methods, there have been several accounts of giant bones being found that could not have belonged to a human of normal proportions. Off the coast of England lies a small tidal island known as St. Michael's Mount, which is host to a castle and a small number of dwellings. According to legend, in the 6th century, before the castle was built, the island was home to an 18-foot giant named Cormoran, who terrified the locals until he was slain by a farmer's son named Jack. This gave birth to the fairy tale of Jack the Giant Killer. While discoveries made in the caverns beneath the castle on St. Michael's may not suggest that it was ever home to an 18-foot man, it is agreed that the skeleton of a man measuring 7 foot 8 inches in height was discovered by monks in 1725 behind a door which had been blocked off. Another account of a giant skeleton discovery dates back to 1890, when 3 bone fragments were discovered in France by Georges Lapouche, who estimated that the person to whom these fragments belonged must have been approximately 11.5 feet tall. With more than double the mass of normal human bones and belonging to an individual dubbed the Giant of a Castello, no fragments were discovered in a Bronze Age burial site and are the only such bones of their size. The bones are said to have been sent to the French Academy of Sciences for study, where they mysteriously disappeared. While real evidence of giant skeletons is largely lost, archaeologists continue to uncover extraordinarily large bones that certainly belonged to giants, at least for their time. One more recent discovery was that the ancient skeleton of an individual who likely possessed gigantism found near Rome in 1991. At the time of the discovery, it was noted that the tomb being excavated was unusually long. Upon analysis, the individual's bones were found to be exceptionally large. This prompted a medical investigation, which concluded that the individual must have suffered from gigantism, causing his early death between the ages of 16 and 20. The estimated height of the Roman giant is 6 feet 8 inches, which, compared to the 3rd century Roman average height of around 5.5 feet, would undoubtedly have been considered gigantic.